everyone, and welcome to Ultiori. I'm going to be talking about the Monster Hunter movie that was supposed to come out like eons ago, but just decided to do it just now. But only in movie theaters, so everyone who was told the movie was going to be open at a certain time, you're still waiting for it on streaming platforms. So you can pre-order the movie, you can no longer, it is what it is. But we decided to risk our lives and go and see this movie. And let me start off by saying that ahead of time, I knew exactly what I was going for. It's a Monster Hunter movie by Anderson and Milla Jovovich, the people who did Resident Evil. I understood exactly what this movie was going to be. I also do like the Monster Hunter franchise, albeit I haven't played it. I've walked around in the worlds and stuff, but I haven't actually played it because, as I've told a lot of you before, new people don't know this, but I felt really bad about killing the monsters. There's so many beautiful creatures in the Monster Hunter franchise. I just never got into it because I thought it was a waste. I would much rather beat a dragon's ass up and then own it and be like, I'm your new master now, and then fall in love with you and have you fight other dragons. That's why I love Monster Hunter stories. But that will be changing with Monster Hunter Rise, as a lot of you know, because now you can have a dog that you can ride so we can kill things together. So exciting. Anyways, I knew exactly what this world was. And when I saw the designs for the monsters, I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm down with it. I completely understand this is going to be a stupid-ass movie, and it exactly was that. It was a stupid-ass movie. Excuse me for the sliding pictures or, still images and stuff like that, because there's not a lot of footage to work with, and you'll have to go between my face and seeing those. I hope you don't mind. The content is in my voice and what I'm telling you. Anyway, it starts off really freaking weird. The dialogue is atrocious, I will say that. And the best part about this movie, which is to be expected, is the monsters. You see enough of them, you see enough of the world, just a little bit where you want to see more, but it opens up the possibility of there be other movies like this because you haven't seen every single Monster Hunter. It's impossible. You can't. And the other best part about this was, surprisingly, especially because I love Milla Jovovich, was Tony Jaa. What was he again? Ong Bak? My dad knows all the martial arts movies. He watches all of them, and my partner does as well. And my partner loves Tony Jaa, and he felt like they did him dirty in this movie because they didn't let him do Muay Thai. Another thing that my partner criticized, which I also noticed afterwards because I thought it was just me, he said that the fighting scenes, when we did see the fighting scenes, which were ridiculously forced, by the way, between Milla Jovovich and Tony Jaa, the fighting scenes were edited so badly. You know how in martial arts movies from Thailand or China, you see the full scope of the battles? You hardly see any cuts because these people do their own stunts and they want to show you what martial arts is, or they want to show you their fighting skill. I swear to you, every second it cuts. Every second. He kicks her, cut. She punch, cut. Roll, cut, continue rolling, cut. It's god damn, man, that's a lot of cuts. I mean, I know that most of that is because of Milla. I know that she's not as young as she used to be. She's still freaking hot, though. If you love Milla Jovovich and you remember her from Resident Evil days, she still looks pretty good. I don't know how old she is, but she still looks amazing. I think she's in her 40s or something. Okay, I just looked it up, and she's 45? And I don't think that, I mean, looking at her, obviously, that's not old. I always thought people at 40 are old. But she looks amazing, and I know people are gonna be like, well, it's probably makeup. Maybe so, but she still looks freaking hot, dude. Maybe I'm biased, because I love Milla. She's so freaking hot, dude. And I just looked this up, and my mind is doing conniptions right now, because she's 6 feet fucking tall. What the hell, man? Anyway, you get to see her battling, but you don't really get to see her battling. You get to see her be a badass. So if you're expecting a woman that weighs 141 pounds to not be able to take down a guy that weighs 163 pounds, then think again, because just like her badassery, the kind of hits that she gets, you think, okay, she shouldn't be able to take a beating like that with her stick ass, but she takes a beating because it's Alice from Resident Evil, people. Is to be expected. The movie is so ridiculous. And of course, she outshines Tony Jaa, but I like that he gets a lot of that shine too, but most of the shine is on her. She is the main character. If you're going in here expecting Tony Jaa to be the main character or for him to be the badass, you are wrong. Milla is where it's at. She is the star of every movie that she is in. Her husband makes sure of it. She is the ultimate badass, and they do make Tony Jaa look like a badass too, but the shine is not on him. It's on Milla. So if you're going there with that expectation, you will be very disappointed, which I think a lot of people were. Going into that, I knew that was gonna be the case because I watched the Resident Evil movies. I know what's up. She's basically Vin Diesel from Chronicles of Riddick. She's Riddick, basically the female version of Riddick. Although when Riddick's fighting, his fighting interactions are a lot more believable, but like I said, it is what it is. Okay, moving on. The environment, oh my god. Oh, I love the special effects and the way that they bring the monsters to life. Capcom did a good job because they were like, look, if you're gonna be using our monsters, you're gonna make damn well sure they look good. And apparently Henderson had to get the okay from the Capcom guys for this to go be a thing. And I totally understand, and it was well worth it. It feels like Capcom themselves put themselves into the game, and if they were gonna make a movie, they'd make this. And that's not totally a compliment, because you don't ask game developers to make a movie. They'll make the special effects look good, but the movie is trash. Let's go down to the ridiculousness of the movie. We know that the monsters are beautiful, the environment's beautiful, Milla Jovovich is beautiful, Tony Jaa's hot. Like, it is what it is. She goes in with her troop of UN soldiers, and the Bravo team, which is weird because, like, you always hear Bravo team being the ones that are eaten or used as the example for people to find them dead and charred. I feel so bad. Or maybe it's just me. I don't know. I feel like every time I hear, what happened to Bravo team, it's always a Bravo team that goes first. Is that like, I don't know. I'm not in the military, so I'm not even gonna pretend that I know. It just seems like they're the ones that always go missing for some reason that requires the other soldiers to come out. I mean, is that a universal name that they use for the team that goes before? I don't know. Military guys, please educate me because I really would like to know. But anyways, the team of military guys went ahead of the others and something happened to them. They disappeared. The tracks disappeared. We see all of this in the trailer. Like, the first 15 to 20 minutes of the movie was in the trailer. But anyways, the first team disappeared and she's the only one who survives out of her entire troop, which is understandable because that is what a Milla Jovovich movie is. She's the only survivor. As a matter of fact, aside from Tony Jaa and the Lion King reincarnation of Ron Perlman in this movie, she's the only survivor to something that a whole troop of men or a division could not handle. Again, to be expected. It's so ridiculous though. It's so cheesy, and I don't think the movie takes itself seriously. I was expecting to go in there and be like, okay, I know exactly what I'm getting, but it's still fun to poke fun at the stupidity of it, because it's freaking stupid. The amount of times that this girl and the other people get flipped around in cars and beaten and smacked by monsters that weigh as much as like 16 triceratops melded into each other's cloacas. You would expect them to have at the very least, a concussion. But no, everyone has like 16 lives in this movie. The first half of the movie is amazing, actually. They utilize tension very well in some of the parts. I think that Milla Jovovich does a very good job acting as though she's hurt, injured, or struggling, but there's no connection with the other characters. The dialogue's disgusting. They just feel like NPC characters, to be honest. So you don't really care when anything happens to them. You don't care when anything happens to T.I. And honestly, you don't really care if anything happens to Milla Jovovich because you know she's gonna be okay. The only reason she's there is to be an action-oriented person, us seeing things from her point of view, but then there's no real connection to her either because she is strong out the bat, as my partner said, that she started off strong. I think the difference between this movie, though, and Resident Evil, and why I actually liked her better in Resident Evil, was because she had more of a connection from the start of the Resident Evil movies. It actually looked like she cared about people. She was struggling to know who she was and what she was. And here, it feels like she just starts off the movie as Alice. You do get to see her be weak afterwards when what she knows as a strong person, as a military person, what she knows is tried and thrashed down immediately because now she's dealing with these monsters that her conventional weapons from her world don't work on. I still like her because, you know, I think it's mostly for nostalgia and she's adorable and she's freaking hot. I know I said that like 60 times. I apologize. Or not. I will say, if I was Les, like, yes. Her and Michelle Rodriguez, definitely. Maybe it's because they give off bad boy energy or something, but it's like, you know, you forget that they're women. Like, it's just hotness. Just not feminine hotness, not masculine, just hotness. I don't know how to explain it. All right, I'm done simping. The first act of the movie, nice. Then they went into the really ridiculous part of it, where it's like, okay, now I think the reason why it feels more ridiculous than it already did feel is because you're trying to take it too seriously. When Ron Perlman, or as I call him, alternate reality Mufasa, comes into the picture, he comes with the NPC characters of Monster Hunter, the guides, the girls that look exactly with the costume from the game. That was very spot on, but it was so useless because you didn't care about any of those characters. They're just there so that people who play the game can be like, look, the other hunters, look, your team. Like, regular people who are watching this movie are gonna be like, what the fuck is going on right now? The entire experience of this movie feels like one gigantic cutscene made of all these other little cutscenes. scenes. And the later part of the movie that took place at night feels exactly like that. It was like, what is the point? Like, it just felt like they should have left out certain things. Because Ron Perlman, Simba, Mufasa starts to say that this is what happened with this thing from our world to your world. It would have been better if he didn't explain all of that. Actually, it would have been better if Tony Jaa and all of these hunters were developed as characters. Milla Jovovich, okay, fine. She doesn't look like the other hunters there, but you could have had her grow up with these people. She just came from somewhere else, or she just grew up with them and she was different. Came from some land far, far, far away or some junk like that, right? Make it part of the canon. Who cares? Have her grow up with these people, or let's see it from Tony Jaa's perspective. Why did they have to bring military soldiers in, let's prevent them from going into our world? Like, that's so full of yourself. I think that Anderson would have done better with this movie if you still want to use your wife for the movie, go ahead. But have her already be part of the universe. Like, have her grow up as a kid and have to prove herself as a hunter. And then something happens to the village because some other monster that they didn't know of comes along and nobody knows how to kill this shit and she has to initiate herself and learn. There are so many other ways the story could have gone that I feel like adding the military in there and the whole our world thing and their world thing just soured it. I feel like a whole story could have been done from the beginning of Monster Hunter with Tony Jaa and his friends that was just wasted. Just convenient. It's just like, what if my wife, what if you got translated into the world of Monster Hunter? It feels like those videos that I do, like, what if freaking Jurassic Park was How to Train Your Dragon? It's not realistic. It's not like to be taken that seriously, but it's like, okay, just teleport this thing into that world and see what happens. Mishmash. It's like one of those things, and it's so ridiculous because even though she knows how to fight really well, I'm pretty sure she knows how to fight even better than all those other soldiers did, and she handed Tony Jaa's ass to him, but he also handed her ass to her, and they were touching each other's asses with chocolate. Who knows? I feel like it would have taken a little bit longer for her to learn the weapons. She catches on pretty freaking fast. And it's not just with the weapon wielding. I can understand that. They try to make it logical and like, okay, she already knows how to fight, so she would know how to use these weapons. Different weapons take a while to master. I am in no way, shape, or form a firearm expert, but I have shot my firearm several times. The difference between shooting a .22 revolver and a 9mm is almost night and day. When I did enough training and I shot enough with my LCP Ruger and my double action revolver, I got the hang of it. Then I got my Mossberg and I was like, shit, this kicks. I learned how to shoot my guns. I feel good shooting them. I know them. And then you hold a freaking Desert Eagle and then you're like, holy fuck, this is a whole different beast. And those are all within the same category of firearms. Much less a freaking huge ass sword that I'm sure this woman has never used before, that when you touch it together, it makes fire. And then, like, come on, dude, there was not enough time for her to learn that as expertly as she did. But to be fair, it's not like she's fighting another human being with a skill set to wield that. She is using it to take down monsters, and she's using it to like wave fire around to keep other monsters away. So you don't really see her hacking at monsters with that. I think it would have been a lot less believable if that were the case. But then you see her using the grappling hook and flung up over these freaking dragons. Like, you know what it kind of reminded me of? Oh my god. The game that I have on PlayStation 2, Shadow of the Colossus. Never beat that game. I still haven't beaten the last Colossus, and I have this thing with video games because I never want them to end. I never want to finish them. Like, it feels too final, and then I have it on my counter, and I'm like, no, I can never play you again, because some people go back and they play it over and over again because they want to get the other horses and unlock different stuff. I don't play games like that. When I play a story and I finish it, it's over. So I'll usually go 80% into a video game and then I'll stop. Unless it's a game like Monster Rancher, or a game with breeding monsters, or playing online where you can continually get better and better against other people. That's different. Games with final stories, unless I know there's gonna come out another game that's a sequel to that, I will not finish it. I will not. But that's what her fighting these monsters reminded me of. It reminded me of Shadow of the Colossus. Like, she's been doing this for a long time. I don't care who you are. You're a military person, you survive, yada yada. That was a whole speech at the beginning of the movie. You've never seen dragons before. You've never fought them before. Like, it's just a little bit too convenient. There was no build up. It's like, I'm learning. Now look at me badass wrestle this dragon all the way to the top of its freaking head, man. It made Tony Jaa and the other monster hunters look bad. Like, here's this mook from this other world that's never seen these monsters before. While these people have trained their entire lives to take down these monsters, and she does it within like the first seconds of meeting this monster. It is ridiculous. And the way it ended, it has all of them like Power Rangering themselves towards a monster to fight together, her and the other hunters. Now she's part of them. Now they have to protect the world from the monsters coming in. Oh, this movie was so freaking cheesy. It was horrible. But I enjoyed it because of the monsters. Particularly because of the monsters. And Tony Jaa was a breath of fresh air in this movie. Dare I say it, he outshone Milla Jovovich with his mannerisms, his expressions, his personality. It felt like I could have just watched him alone in this movie. Like, there didn't need to be anybody else in this movie but him. He was perfect for the hunter role. The other hunters that we saw, they just looked like people who were cosplaying as them. I didn't take them seriously at all. He's the only one I took seriously. I will say that the chemistry between Milla Jovovich and Tony Jaa was very cute. I did like that. They're so awkward, but I feel like they fit as a team. I do like that about them, even though they didn't speak the same language. So that was interesting. I just wish they would let us care more about the other characters instead of just introducing a whole bunch of other people specifically that we don't care about just so we can see them be killed immediately. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't leave a long-lasting effect. The movie would have done just as well without them. I cared more when I thought that Tony Jaa was gonna die. I thought he was dead at one point, and I'm like, oh no, please, because you don't know what's gonna happen to him. He's not Milla Jovovich. It's not like he has this impenetrable plot armor. And then she saves him, and he's okay. And you're like, oh. As for all the others, Ron Perlman, the other, I really don't care. Kill them. Kill them. They were never alive to begin with. So, I enjoyed the experience, but as a movie, as a trash-ass movie, you know what? I would rate it a 5.8 because despite everything I said, it's still a way better movie than Wonder Woman 84. Just my opinion. So, should you go see it in theaters? Like, that's the only place you can see it now that it finally was showing in the theater by me. Why not? As long as you don't have high expectations for it. You can still make fun of it because it is a stupid movie. But why not? For the action. The action's pretty decent when the monsters come onto the scene. The CGI is actually really, really good. Thanks so much for watching. This has been Ultiori. You ask, we answer.